Hi guys, welcome to Chakra Sessions. I'm your host, Polly Jo Labbé. Today we are talking about releasing our ancestral cords. I know that sounds like this huge topic, but it's really important that we realize that things that are considered part of our ancestry are really things that we can energetically let go of. So let me just sort of check in and see who is here. I know some people were checking in. Hi, Robin. Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. So this is a time period where a lot of energy is trying to move on the whole planet. And as that is trying to move, we are in this sacred space of moving and healing our own energy, but we're also in a place where we can heal the energy of our ancestors and those who will come after us. And the work that we do here through chakra sessions that I do, it works in many layers and many dimensions. So it's a really cool thing. My spiritual team has finally given it a name, multidimensional quantum healing. And that makes sense because we're moving energy both in waves and particles. And it goes through space and time. So just because we're here in this moment now, it goes to any other moment in now, if that makes sense. Sometimes when we're talking dimensionally, the words that my team chooses to use through me don't always make sense because there's not a real word for it. So if it's at all confusing, please type in and let me know. So let's get some of the housekeeping out of the way. I'm going to make sure that everybody likes and shares the broadcast so that it gets out there and people know that we are now live and we're streaming. Because we want to make sure that everyone who needs to release some energy is going to get to. And interesting enough, I'm not seeing this live yet. So let me look at my page. Type in a response if you are able to see this right now. Because that'll help me out. Let me know that people are able to see it. I'm so not as good at this as there we are. Okay, I see it now. So I think Christine is watching. Right. So I'm just going to keep going. Thanks, Mary Ellen. Not everybody's things are showing up. There's this little place where it shows how many people are viewing, and that isn't working at the moment. So that's why I was a little concerned. But hey, we're live and we're here. So when we like and share the broadcast, it gets out there to more people. It shows up in the news feed more often. And that's sort of how Facebook determines how quickly to put the broadcast where people can see it. So I'm so glad you guys are here with me today. I'm not sure what it's doing in your neck of the woods. We got very, very lucky here in Western Massachusetts. There's precipitation, but we hung out at the 34-degree mark. So for a little bit, we had tiny bit of slushy snow, but basically it turned to rain. So we're not having any accumulation. My mom, who's about, an hour to the east of me, she got 6 inches. So I am quite thrilled that there's no cleanup to do on my end. I don't know about you guys. So as we head into the holiday season, one of my things that my team has been working on with people who have been coming in person as clients, and even with my students, is that we have things energetically that run through our family. Oh, hi, Rob. How are you? So, we will blame it on, well, it runs through my family. So things like heart disease, diabetes, even certain types of cancers, they run through our family. And yes, they do. I am not at all discounting that. But the reason it runs through is that there's energy running through the family lineage that is becoming a magnet for that type of thing to happen. When you demagnetize the energy, it no longer is attracted to that family grouping. So you have the ability to heal the lineage within you, but then it vibrates out through everyone, and it releases them from that vibration. It doesn't mean that nobody will ever get it again, because sometimes we're meant to have an illness for a particular reason, but it doesn't have to go through the entire family, if that makes sense. So, for my family, one of the things that runs through my mom's side of the family is difficulty with the right knee and right hip. My grandfather had it. My mother has it. One of my uncles has it, my mom's brother. My grandfather's brother had it. And so I'm assuming it probably happened before. I'm not sure. I never met my grandparents' parents because my grandfather was the youngest of 13. So his parents were long gone. My mom didn't even meet them. So energetically, I can feel the connection. And I have 3 children, so I don't want them having difficulty with their right knee if we can help it, or right hip. So it's something that I sent some healing energy through for myself, and I broke the connection on my end, and then I sent it through my children and possible future grandchildren, if that makes sense. So when we have illness or a particular thing that runs through our family, that even that term runs through, it lets you know that it has movement and that it has flow. And so all we have to do is redirect the flow and switch the energy so that we no longer have it. And there are some other ones that are a little more embedded, let me say. I know it sounds strange to say that, heart disease isn't embedded in your family, but it isn't. That's the best. My team's like, yeah, it just isn't. It's in one layer. It only runs through usually one chakra. So when we take that energy out of the chakra to be a magnet, then you don't have to be a magnet any longer. The ones that are more difficulty are things like addictions, because addictions run through multiple chakras. So they can be released ancestrally, but often it takes a few times of doing the healing. Like you release the addiction energy out of this particular chakra the first time, let that settle, and then you release the addiction energy out of the second chakra or the third chakra. Because usually an addiction, it has a triangular hold. That's how my team shows it to me. It's like a triangular circuit. So it's not enough to just take one piece of it out. The other 2 pieces have to come out as well, which is a whole nother topic of conversation. And we'll probably do it in the new year because that feels like it would be a cool one to tackle for people to help them energetically start to release themselves from addiction. Because addiction can really, make a mess of things. Even if you are, abstaining, that desire is still there. It's that you're not feeding it, but lots of times it's not released, if that makes sense. So, hi, Violet. Welcome to the show. Hi, Christine. Nice to see you. I had a dream about you the other day, Christine. I was creating an oracle deck, and you were making the paintings for it. So if that comes to you and your spiritual team, let me know, because it seemed really, really cool. I love that idea. And it's one that has to do with energy and healing. So I don't know how other people feel, but I think that would be really cool to have an energy healing deck. Good morning, Stephanie. Nice to see you. So when we talk about ancestral cords, we are born into a particular family to learn particular lessons for our soul. And oh, good. I'm glad you think it sounds fun. We'll have to talk about that, because I saw it really vividly. So usually when it's vivid, it actually means something big. So cross our fingers. I think some people in Star Nations would be happy to see a card deck come out of that. So the ancestral cords, some people feel the energy like it's a cord, like it's a rope that everybody's attached to. And, sometimes the cord can be an illness, but sometimes it's a lesson that everybody's trying to learn. And when it's a lesson that everyone is trying to learn, believe it or not, all it takes is one person in the family lineage to learn the lesson, to break the cycle. So in that cycle, like abandonment can be a big thing that runs through families. So you might have a mother who's, had a parent die really early, so they went through abandonment. Then you had your parents divorce, and then you felt the energy of abandonment, and then you had, you were a single mom, and so they felt abandoned because they didn't have the father figure in there. So that is like ways that a lesson can run through. If you work on your abandonment, then your child then doesn't have to have even more abandonment, or they don't have to create abandonment for their children, if that makes sense. So it can be a lesson that's running through, or it can be an illness. And like I said, from my mother's side of the family, it was this right hip and knee that was really clear. And there's heart disease too. And the heart disease was a little more tricky because my grandmother had it one way and my grandfather had it a different way through my mom. And then my father's father had heart disease in a particular way. And so I had to look at each of the layers to make sure that it didn't run through the family lineage. And on my father's side, it wasn't something that was being passed down, if that makes sense. It was something that happened to him in his particular circumstances. My dad's side of the family, the big thing that needs to be worked through is this addict energy. There's alcoholics. There are people who have trouble with drugs. There are people who have trouble with money. People finding different ways to escape. So that one has been more complicated to work on because it's very ingrained. And while I'm releasing the addict energy in me, and I can see that it's released in my children, having it release for my dad and his siblings, that has been a little more challenging to get it to work on it backwards. It's not my responsibility, but I can feel it shifting. And so as we do this today, I'm going to be working on that energy for myself, because I get to do this healing as well for myself. So you might want to think about anything that, runs through your family, whether it's a disease like heart disease or cancer or diabetes, or, everybody has a bad hip or a bad knee. Think about that, because you may not want to have that as part of your experience. And then you can also think about like behavioral things, like addiction, or yes, genetic diseases, actually, it's true for them too. So I have helped people work on cerebral palsy and on, oh my goodness, what was the immune disorder? Sickle cell anemia. I've worked on both of those. Oh, nice. Very good question, Roberta. How do you break it if you don't know the past, and is it important? You don't have to know the past. If you have somebody in your family who has a particular thing going on, and you want to make sure that it doesn't carry forward, that it stays with just that one person, you can break the cord so that it doesn't have to continue forward. So you don't have to know the past. I have a good friend who was adopted, so there's no sense of what's attached to the family. So she's just clearing any tendencies that she has within her so that she doesn't pass it down to her children. Because we don't know what could be behind us, right? Does that make sense? So in this instance, you take care of you. And if you don't know anything that's running backwards, maybe you just notice like, okay, I have, one of the things I worked on a few years ago was asthma for my kids, because my husband had it a little bit, I had it a little bit, but one of our sons had it pretty badly, and our other son had it, moderately. So as I cleared the energy for me, as I cleared the energy for my husband, both my kids, theirs just sort of kind of went away. One of my sons, I had to work on it a little bit because his was more severe. But the other one, he hasn't had any symptoms in, oh boy, I don't know, probably 5 years now. And I only have had symptoms when I've had an allergy attack, and not at all in any other circumstance. So does that make sense, Roberta? I hope that makes sense for you. So excellent question though. So when you're looking at the energy that can be carried through the family, it's really cool to make sure that it doesn't carry forward, or what if you got Lyme disease and you don't want your children to end up with it? That's something that's like very tangible. Okay, let's have it stop here. I don't want that to go forward, and I don't want to get it again. I don't want to have it become active in my body again if it's already been cleared. One of the ones that I've done with clients is shingles. Does that make sense? So if you've had chickenpox, you have the possibility of getting shingles. And I'm somebody who had shingles twice in my lifetime already. And so I was determined that I wasn't going to get that again. And I was looking at the energy of it within the body. And the basic part, like the part that's underneath shingles and chickenpox, some of you may have heard of like Epstein-Barr. They're all in the same family. And that's also where mono comes from. So if you ever had mono, all of those kind of link together. And candida is another thing that links to that. And so when you start to clear that energy from your system, that you don't need to attract any more illnesses related to that, you know, you can clear it, or you can at least get it to be completely dormant, so that it doesn't have to be passed forward. So there are a whole bunch of things that you could focus on, you know, and you'll have a sense. And if you don't know, that's fine too, because when we do the meditation, we're just going to be tackling what is the most important one to work through your energy body. So I hope that all makes sense. My spiritual team is speaking to me through both ears today, which is not normal for me. Normally they just come through my voice completely, but they're all, so it's like I've got a team here. So if I seem a little distracted, it's because at the moment it's like 3 people talking to me all at the same time while I'm still trying to relay the information to you. So because of what I do, because of the multidimensional quantum healing, this works in each direction, and it works forward, it works backwards. The minimum amount of generations that it works on is 7 generations backwards and 7 generations forwards. That's the minimum. If you know your mother or father or your grandparents had it, it goes 7 generations from them. So, you know, I know my grandparents had it, so I can go back 7 generations from that point, which is 9 generations in that direction, and then 7 generations forward. So in that instance, I'm covering 16 generations. So if you know the medical history of your grandparents or your great-grandparents, you can actually carry it even farther through more generations. And I know it seems odd that you would be sending healing to those who are on the other side. But when the energy hasn't cleared out of their energy body, the next time they decide to incarnate, that energy will still be there. So they will show up with that, the chicken pox, or they will show up with the mumps and the measles, or they'll show up with that like already in their body, or cancer. So when we send the healing backwards and forwards, they don't have to reincarnate with that energy. So that's why we help, you know, work through the generational pull, so that it does, you know, we don't have to recreate more disease in the future on the planet. Boy, that's a little complicated. I hope you guys are getting it. I'm like, whoo, that's a little complicated. So let's work on the healing meditation. If you have an idea and would like to share it, feel free to write it in the comments. Like, this is what I would like to work on. You don't have to, but if you know, it's really helpful if you actually write it down on a piece of paper, because it grounds the energy. Oh, nice. Stephanie's clearing ancestral karmic disease. Love it. That is the perfect phraseology, because lots of times the karma is the big piece of it, right? And, you know, depending on the type of disease, there's a reason why that one is the favorite. And the, you know, oh, fabulous, Stephanie. Clearing rape trauma. Yes. Believe it or not, we can clear that for generations backwards and forwards, whether we had it or not. When I've done a lot of past life healing for women and for men, believe it or not, there is almost always rape trauma that has happened at some point energetically in your lifetime, if not many times, you know. And it's a beautiful thing to work through and to clear. So when you guys are figuring out what you would like to work on, like I said, feel free to share it, because then you have everybody who's watching is bearing witness to the fact that that's what you're clearing and that that's your intention. But you can simply write it down on paper and ground it. And because the paper is made from trees, it holds the vibration of Mother Earth. And so that's why you're basically handing the intention to Mother Earth and asking the Divine Feminine to heal the energy through you. So feel free to share them. And so what we're going to do is it's very similar to our regular meditation, but as we go through each chakra, we're going to send energy out in each dimension, asking that anything that is ancestral, that is tied to this particular chakra, if it does not serve your highest best, that it leaves. And so there are times when we have to hold on to certain energy because we're still working on the lesson, but we don't have to keep it going through the ancestral lineage. Just because we're working on it doesn't mean our children have to work on it. So we can actually cut the cords in each direction so it stays with us if there's something for us. Nice. So you know about Huntington's disease all the way through your great-grandfather. So think about that. It's going to still go 7 generations forward from there. And because you know that your son has it, it can go 7 generations from your son, which is so fabulous. Thank you. Nice. Nancy is going to do Lyme and related co-infections backwards and forwards in my lineage. Perfect, sweetie. The energy that Lyme creates, just so you have like a heads up, it runs in the same family lineage energetically as fibromyalgia, Lyme's, and chronic fatigue syndrome. They all energetically tie into the same connector pieces. So those are the ones that are usually most related to Lyme, just as a heads up. All right, so let's begin. So let's get comfortable. You want to have your arms and your legs uncrossed. We don't want any energy circuits sending energy back through our body. We want it to all stay within us and flowing around and through us, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to make clearing noises as we go. That's energy releasing.
Yeah.
And you may hear the Ancient One talk through me. If that happens, then you're being told on a soul level of something that your ego can't handle hearing. Usually it's some sort of instruction. Often it's just things like breathe and allow and release.
Yeah.
Nice. Christine had, an Epstein-Barr too. Lovely. And Christine is doing the Epstein-Barr and the osteogenesis imperfecta, starting with my grandfather through my son. Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great job, guys. So in this moment, I invite you to call in and connect to the divine however you perceive that. Whether you connect to God or Goddess.
Yeah.
Creator, all that is, the oneness, consciousness. However you experience the divine energy, we're going to invite you to connect with that right now. And as you call in the divine, ask the divine energy to surround and protect you in a bubble of infinite love and infinite light. Allowing the bubble to go around you in each and every dimension, in each and every direction.
Yeah.
So that you can feel safe in your sacred container.
Yeah.
And now I invite you to call in your spiritual team, your angels, your guides, your ancestors, the ascended masters, your spirit animals, star beings, all divine of the highest, fullest, and brightest vibration available to you in this moment of now.
Yeah.
And we begin the healing by calling in the divine energy to connect with our crown chakra right above our head. And just take a moment to experience the divine energy. Whether you feel tingling or light or pressure or cold or hot, we each experience the divine in our own unique way. So there is no right and there is no wrong.
Yeah.
And then begin to call the energy down into your third eye, into your forehead, and really allow the energy to calm any thoughts, ideas, beliefs, or patterns that are stretched in distraction into the past, worrying about what was, especially because we were just talking about that. And just bringing it back into your breath and your heartbeat right in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then calling any energy that's pulled into the future, worried or anxious about anything or what you need to accomplish, just knowing in this moment it's important for you to just be here in this breath, in this connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. And we're going to just take a brief moment to open all channels of communication that you have with your spiritual team and the divine. So that you can have a clearer perception, a clearer knowing. And so you can hear and be heard really clearly and succinctly, not only with your spiritual team, but with others.
Yeah.
And now in the crown and in the third eye, in that sixth chakra, we are going to ask that all ancestral energy that is not for our highest good to be released. And we thank the energy for teaching us the lessons, but it no longer has to be experienced in this physical or emotional way.
Yeah.
And we send the energy through the generations, through lifetimes, to wherever the healing is needed for ourselves and for those connected most closely to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And moving into the throat. And first of all, clearing away anything that is blocking our authentic truth from being spoken, from being expressed.
Yeah.
Really bringing the chakra back into its fullest, brightest vibration.
Yeah.
And now asking that the ancestral energy of anything that is held here for the ancestors, past or future, to energetically be released. Sending it backwards and forwards through generations and through lifetimes.
Yeah.
And releasing the need for the lesson to be learned in this particular way.
Yeah.
And now moving into the heart. This is a big one. So really first bringing in lots of love and compassion for yourself,
Yeah.
for those connected to you,
Yeah.
bringing joy and love and beauty back into its fullest potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sending the energy out through the ancestors to clear any ancestral lineage, any illness,
Yeah.
any dis-ease, back through all the generations of our family lineage, but also through all the lifetimes where we may have carried it as well.
Yeah.
And sending it forward to all the generations so that they may experience the lesson in a different and more loving way.
Yeah.
And releasing any anger or shame that may have fueled the dis-ease
Yeah.
in any way.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Beautiful. And moving down into the third chakra, in the solar plexus in the upper belly. And first clearing away any resentment, judgment, anger
Yeah.
any fear energy that may have been used to fuel the dis-ease
Yeah.
by you or by any other people around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
In any ways, the worthiness of being happy has blocked the energy as well, or fueled the energy to flow even hotter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sending the energy out through the ancestral lineage to clear any dis-ease or disorder attached to this,
Yeah.
including depression and addiction. And really allowing it to flow back through all of your family generations and back through all the lifetimes that you've ever had, and all that are in our sense of future,
Yeah.
and all of the ancestors who are to walk after us,
Yeah.
who have yet to come.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Beautiful. And down into our second chakra, first making sure that our energy is in balance, that our feelings are full and complete.
Yeah.
And in this space, any relationships that we've ever had that may fuel the dis-ease or disorder,
Yeah.
releasing their energetic ties so that we can simply be in our own energy in this moment,
Yeah.
and allowing ourselves to feel whole and complete, even if just for this one moment.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And now sending the energy out through the ancestors, through all the generations, backwards and forwards,
Yeah.
and through all of the lifetimes that we have ever had. And forward to all of our future lifetimes and for all of those who are yet to come. And releasing them from the dis-ease or the disorder, and allowing ourselves to learn this lesson in a new and loving way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to move into the first chakra. And first give ourselves some balance, some sense of grounding and connectedness to the earth, to all that is. Creating an energy of safety and security, love and support.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sending the energy out through the ancestors.
Yeah.
Those who came before us, and even those lifetimes that came before now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And sending the energy forward to those who are yet to come.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that no one needs to hold this dis-ease or disorder any longer. You ask to learn the lesson in a loving way.
Yeah.
And we're also going to take a moment to focus on all of the energy stored throughout our back. There are many points of connection, the secondary chakras, where we hold energy in and around our back. And we're going to ask that any of that energy be dissipated in this moment, releasing old energy of anger, sadness, frustration, disappointment, hurt.
Yeah.
Feelings of not being enough or of being too much. And any of that energy that is stored in the back, we also want to send and clear through the ancestors, through the lineage. Any dis-ease or disorder that is connected through these extra points in our back, in our shoulders and our hips, in our spinal column, and ask that it be sent to clear backwards through all the ancestors and through all of our lifetimes.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And just really focus a little more tight around your right shoulder blade,
Yeah.
allowing that energy to release.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back of the neck on the left side where it connects to the shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
The back of the right hip,
Yeah.
right near the top of the glute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go. and sending it through all the generations backwards and through all of our lifetimes.
got it, got it,
And then also to send them through forward to all those who come after us.
got it,
Asking that we learn the lesson in a more loving and gentle manner.
got it,
And now allowing all excess energy to drop and release into Grandmother Earth. Let it flow down your legs, down your feet, through the ground. And either you may experience roots beneath your feet to connect deep within the earth, or a giant cord of connection like an umbilical cord. And any or all of those works beautifully. And if you are having trouble experiencing that, just invite Grandmother Earth to come up to you, come up through your feet and your legs to release anything else that no longer serves your highest best or that of your ancestors before or after you.
got it,
And we invite the divine energy to come in and fill in all of the places where we released energy with infinite love and infinite light. And you may experience that as light or as heat, or as a color.
got it, got it, got it.
Good. And now take a moment of gratitude and thank your spiritual team for being here, for assisting you in your healing.
Got it, got it, got it.
And now gently begin to return to this moment, to this place.
Got it.
And as you do that, you can stretch or yawn or wiggle your fingers or your toes or have a sip of water if you need it. Whatever will help you kind of get back into the moment. Beautiful. So this is a clearing meditation that you can imagine there's more than one thing that you might want to clear through your ancestors. So the really beautiful thing about Star Nations and about this platform is that the minute we're done, the recording is available and you can listen to it again. And it will go up on our YouTube channel as well, the Star Nations YouTube channel, within a couple of days, maybe a little longer because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but within less than a week, they're always posted. And so you're very welcome, Robin. And I'm glad you felt the power behind that one, Rob. I'll tell you, there was a lot in the heart area, which makes sense. There's a lot of heart disease that runs through families. But there's also things that like lung cancer or breast cancer. And there's no need for that to carry forwards and backwards. And there was a lot that went through in the third chakra as well, because when we don't feel full and complete, we create doubt. And when we create doubt, then it makes room for other things to come in. And all dis-ease and disorders are fueled by emotions that we didn't get a moment to express. And so cancer in particular holds a lot of anger, but some of them, it's grief that didn't get expressed, or love that didn't, unconditional love was never felt. And so the heart aches for that. And so then the heart has trouble beating properly. And, those type of things show up. So let me check. There are a number of comments. So Nancy says, thank you, Polly Joe. That was wonderful. Really needed today and we'll use again. Much love and thanks. You're welcome, sweetie. And Violet, wow, beautiful. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Beautiful. Thank you so much. You are so welcome, Christine. You're welcome, Violet. And Stephanie, wonderful question, Violet. How often do you need to do this? You don't actually need to do it. But if you have a sensation of, oh my goodness, this thing runs through our family and that doesn't have to be true any longer, then do it. Some of the more intense things, like I was talking about, like addiction, but even when Nancy was talking about Lyme disease is one of the ways that this particular energy can show up, but it can show up as fibromyalgia, it can show up as chronic fatigue syndrome. So Nancy might want to do this like 2 or 3 times to make sure that all the nuggets have moved out. And I always feel like when you do this energy, when it's complete, you just know it's complete. You don't feel the need to do it again. But it's such an easy way to make sure that if there's anything that you're unaware of, it doesn't continue. And so this is a very powerful healing. And maybe, you do it like you do your spring cleaning, right? You do it once a quarter. But the moment you have an awareness of something that you would like to clear ancestrally, use this meditation, because I really find it to be quite powerful and it moves through quickly. Oh, of course. Yes, of course it shows up as anxiety and depression. Because the anxiety and depression are in that third chakra where the anger and the fear can get located. And it comes, it comes through the third chakra and then it spreads out like a spider web along the back. And then that spider web of energy along the back then impacts all of the organs that it connects to, if that makes sense. So there's a few diseases that come in and do that particular thing where they come in through the third chakra and then they come out through the back. And this is one that impacts the Lyme disease and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. They really impact anybody who's sensitive and empathic to begin with, because that's how we absorb our information. Often is through the belly to make our assessments. And so if we take in a bunch of energy that isn't meant to be within us, then we don't know what to do with it and it disperses along the back. And then when it gets stuck there, then you have the difficulty. And of course it makes you anxious and depressed, because nobody can figure out what's wrong with you and it's happening and it feels like I had fibromyalgia. It's one of the things that I healed through this. And, you know, you're having random pain and it's like people don't necessarily even believe you. So then it impacts your thinking and it impacts, you know, your thought process. And you go into the old tapes of blame and whatnot. So it can be very difficult. So yes, Violet, generally you do notice and feel when it's done. And again, it's one of those things that I feel like you forget when you don't need it. But if it doesn't feel complete at this moment, you know, I would give it like a week and then come back and do it again, so that, you know, you have time to integrate what took place today and see how it shifts within you. And then if you feel like you need it around then do it again. It certainly isn't going to hurt you energetically to do this. There's no side effects or anything from sending healing energy out through the ancestors. You might tap onto something that's in a past life that you don't even realize is there. So how cool is that? So it looks like we're done for today, guys. And I'm going to invite you to tune in to my show tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Soul Connections, because I will be doing readings as well as a healing. And as with any of the healings for Soul Connections, you can set up any intention you want for your own healing. I am just a conduit. I am here to heal the healers. That's my mission, because you are meant to get to work and help others in your own unique way, because we each have our own light to shine in our own way. And Nancy said, my daughter is severely impacted by this, and I've had it on and off as many family members as well. I could feel my family asking for energy as I did this. Perfect. So don't be afraid, Nancy, to also do this with your daughter, you know, if she's open to it. And you can also set the intention that as you're doing the healing, that you're doing it for your daughter, or you're doing it for a particular family member to make sure that they get the healing as well. So I'm so glad that you guys have enjoyed this, and I will see you tomorrow night at 7 for Soul Connections, or next week here again for Chakra Sessions. I'm not sure what we're going to do for a topic, because I will be like flying in and out. Well, not flying, driving because of the holidays to go see my mother's brothers and family on that side. So have a beautiful Thanksgiving if I don't see you tomorrow night. And with that, I'll see you guys later. Bye.